Hey guys, this is Cam from Broski Nation, and this video is going to be a little different. And I'm not really one to put out my personal business out here for the world to hear and see. I'm a pretty low key person, um, but some things have been happening in my life, and um, as the whole purpose of me creating my channel was just to make genuine connections with people, guys. I wanted to show different sides of who I am. I got my kind of goofy, weird ass side, but then I also have the stuff that you know, that's probably more relatable to people. So, um, in short, I'm a mid 30s millennial who was an only child to, you know, mixed parents. My mom's white, my dad's black. Um, and there's kind of like this, I guess you could say, notion or, um, I guess, I guess assumptions that when you're an only child, you're spoiled and you're selfish and this, that, and the third, right? Versus growing up with siblings, right? Um, for me personally, um, I didn't I mean, we were pretty poor growing up, in the 90s. You know, dad was in and out of the factory. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She, had her own health stuff that she was dealing with, you know, but I mean, I remember the Salvation Army coming by and delivering Christmas gifts, for me. And then they do like Christmas, donate, do like Christmas dinners or whatever. Because money was super tight, man. And when I got to the point to where I was cognizant enough to be able to see like, my parents are struggling, I didn't like asking for stuff. That might have started happening around 10, 11 years old because they always talked about their money in front of me. I was, for better or for worse, always aware of, that we were struggling. Some families kind of kept the money conversation out from their kids. Not they. I always heard it. In fact, a lot of their arguments that they had were because of money or lack thereof. Um, but being an only child, it got lonely, dude. You know, but it made me kind of rely on like my creative side. I grew up with Legos and video games, so that was kind of like my escape. I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional home, and a lot of arguing, just a lot of just drama, dude. But I can tell you right now, while, not having any siblings when it came to Christmas time, I was, they always seemed to make it work. But when I got older, my parents got older, my dad lost his ability to work due to health conditions, and then my mom was trying to help out. When you're the only child, you know, you don't have to step up. But it's one of those things where, especially for my mom, she helped put me through school. It was one of those things where it's like I couldn't just leave people. I'm close with my mom. I'll leave it like that. I'm a lot closer with my mom than my dad. When I went to school, went to school out of state, moved back for my family, for my mom to help her assist with my dad. Um, if it wasn't for her, I would never moved back. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Um, but being an only child, when you get older and you have parents that are getting up in age or just have bad medical problems, it falls on your shoulders if you decide to accept it. Now, I don't want to complain and be like, "Woe was me." No. I mean, again, she put me through school, so I wanted to step up, help my mom out. You know what I mean? Because she was the parent that made sure I had all my shots and that, you know, um, like she was always encouraging me to hang out with my friends. I don't want to say too much about my dad. I'm gonna just let's just say it wasn't the best relationship. I still talk with him, but um, the dude's got his own set of things. And maybe I'll reflect on that later in another video. Um, but just being an only child has its pros and cons. Not all of us, we're individuals, so not all of us are the same. Um, I liked having my own space. I like being able, it forced me to be creative, right? But you got lonely, dude. And as an adult, I just kind of, because of I didn't have those interactions, having to deal with siblings or play with my siblings, it was just like there's always that yearning for like deep rooted connections with people. And especially as you get older, you get into the workforce, it's hard to find that, man. I have a couple of friends here and there that I'm close with, but it was lonely as a kid. So, in the comments below, guys, if you had a similar experience, put down in the comments below, wherever you feel comfortable sharing just about growing up as a, only child. What did you deal with? Did you deal with similar things? Yeah. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.